Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all doing well. Now I've got two amazing guests that I'm really looking forward to chatting with today. Obviously I didn't do the Brentford review, so I thought why not come on here. As I said, two special guests. So I'm joined with Lee from Gooner Gathering and Posh Bertie, who is also part of Gooner Gathering. So thank you both for coming on today. How are you guys doing?
After you, sir.
I'm doing well, thank you. I can't complain. Obviously, it was good to see Arsenal top of the league, which is very good. Fingers crossed. Hope it stays that way. But yeah, other than that, I'm doing good, thank you.
How are you doing, Lee? You all good?
The easy answer for me to say to you all is yes, I'm fantastic. I can barely walk, guys, so I'm having a great time.
Smiling
The
through the
lesson learned
pain.
here is don't go on an e-scooter. It hurts,
Yeah, Lee's had a bit
especially
of an
when
accident.
you're on the wrong side of 40. It's not a good idea.
This is what happens when you exercise. You see.
I understand it was your fault, Posh.
Yeah,
Oh
you're
yeah, it was a
partly to
video
blame.
because you had to rush back for a video, didn't you?
That's
Yeah, it is
right.
my fault. Yeah.
Broken ribs as well.
That's terrible,
Sorry,
honestly.
I'm going to get my violin out. But anyway, enough about me and my adventures on a scooter. We've got stuff to talk about, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to
Yeah,
have a lot of fun. Just for my Gooner Gathering audience, who I couldn't get this stream to simulcast on Gooner Gathering, but we have shared it on our community page. So hopefully you can all see us. And if you're new, make sure you are subscribed to this lovely lady. She is a wonderful YouTube presenter, one of the most positive people you will ever find anywhere. She's even more positive than me. I don't know how that happens.
oh, you're too kind. But I know there are a few people in here that are from your channel, so it's lovely to see you all in
My
here.
Stacey's here.
Yeah, nice to see you, Stacey, and Emerson. Nice to see you too. But yeah, I think we're going to kind of see how this goes. We're going to start off a bit about the Brentford game, and I think we'll touch a bit about the women's result because obviously we're doing really well. We've won against West Ham. Beth Mead got 2 goals. I'm so happy for her. Things are looking quite positive. I did want to start off with the Brentford game. I'm going to start off with the lineup because for me, I thought that lineup was really attacking. It kind of surprised me how much Arteta went attacking wise, and we obviously did struggle in the game. And Lee, I'll start off with you. Obviously Brentford have a certain way of how they play, and did make it a bit difficult for us to make chances. But for you, like looking at the lineup, I was thinking like, why were we struggling to score goals so much? Because our lineup was quite good, wasn't it?
It was a very, very bold lineup to go with. We kind of touched upon this. We're sort of going with almost like an all-out attack kind of formation. We sort of deviated from that Rice and Jorginho partnership we'd been playing for a little while. We had Posh's favourite, Mr. Trossard, in the you want to call it the Xhaka position.
Number 8 role.
Yeah, exactly. Probably with the idea that knowing that Brentford are going to do what they do, have plenty of bodies behind the ball. And I suppose the idea was to try and grind down that Brentford side and try and wear them out. And hopefully by, I don't know, something like the 88th minute, we'll sort of grind out an opportunity to get a goal. But perhaps, I mean, some people would be saying, oh, but we played so rubbish and everything like that. And we, struggled to get through them. And basically that was because of how Brentford play and how they set up. Yeah, you have to give them credit for doubling up and keeping Saka and Martinelli as quiet as they did. But as regarding the lineup, there were obviously there was one change which we definitely need to talk about, and that was the goalkeeper. Mr. Ramsdale had to play because he was the experienced goalkeeper that we had left, obviously, with David Raya not being available against his parent club. Despite all the talk on the other YouTube channels and even from Ramsdale himself, saying they can't concentrate for 90 minutes and everything like that. What are your thoughts on Ramsdale? I know you're a big fan of him, but what were your thoughts of the words that came out of both him and his dad over the international break?
Yeah, I mean, I think that podcast he did, I think he did reveal quite a lot, I would say, and maybe now it kind of might look bad on Ramsdale because I think he's been on the hybrid squad before, so I didn't think he would be saying this much because the other time it was more just about Ramsdale's career overall. So yeah, this time it was I think he was very open and honest, and I do respect that about him, but I think it kind of puts Arteta in an awkward position, and I don't think Arteta's going to like that interview very much because he's obviously, Ramsdale has been left in the dark a bit, but I think it has been obvious for a while that Raya is Arteta's number one this season. And I think with Ramsdale, his performance, I feel like this wasn't the Ramsdale we remember from last season, and I think that is because he's really low in confidence. Like Arteta has not played him enough, and there are times where I do think Arteta should have played him, and I've no problem if Arteta thinks Raya's the number one, but I do think he deserves more games in the Champions League because he has got us there, and I don't think it's fair on that. But I think the situation now obviously will be a bit difficult on Ramsdale. Maybe Ramsdale's last game. I know we've got a few cup games and things like that maybe he will play in, but yeah, it's a bit of a difficult one, isn't it? Bertie, what are your thoughts on the Ramsdale situation? Because I'd love to hear what you think.
I wasn't expecting at the start of the season. I wasn't expecting us to get a new goalkeeper, and suddenly here we go. David Raya's going to be an Arsenal player. Now, I like David Raya. When he was at Brentford, I thought he was a brilliant goalkeeper, and I had no problems with him signing for us. But I did think there would be a bit more, not heavily rotation, obviously, but a bit more rotation, I think, between Raya and Ramsdale. I mean, if you look at Man City with Ederson and Ortega, two goalkeepers that are just as good, and whilst one may not get the same amount of game time, they one plays a bit more than you think, if that makes sense. But I think Arteta has now thought that David Raya is now, in his view, the better goalkeeper. And you know what? I did like Ramsdale last season. Some of the saves that he made were phenomenal. But he has more often than not started giving the ball away to the opposition a lot. You saw that against Brentford. He almost cost us and almost made us 1-0 down. And I just think that I reckon David Raya's the as Lee calls him, the undisputed number one goalkeeper. I think that's going to happen, and I got no problems with that because I like David Raya. I think he's a good goalkeeper.
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, I've no problem with Raya being the number one because I do think he's really good, and what we've seen from him has been a lot of good things. I don't think he's made a lot of mistakes, and like we've seen with Ramsdale, he has been giving the ball away. And I know in the game, Declan Rice did save us in that moment, and I thought, wow, that was amazing from Declan Rice. But yeah, I think it's obviously tough Ramsdale coming in, but we did get a clean sheet, and I'm sure Arteta will be impressed with him for that. Lee, I did want to ask you, I think that Raya is our number one, and I don't think Ramsdale's going to get a lot of opportunities, but because Ramsdale got a clean sheet and that probably impressed Arteta, do you see Ramsdale maybe replacing Raya in a few games, or do you think it's just Raya from now on?
So, and initially my thoughts are on the back of Saturday. I kind of wondered if that was the last time we'd see Ramsdale, quite honestly. That's me being absolutely honest with you. But there's going to be a lot of fans who think, well, doesn't Aaron deserve a game in the Champions League, say? Obviously, we have the game against Lens on Wednesday. For all the mistakes that obviously have been well documented, we did have a good season last year, despite the fact that we kind of fell apart right at the end of it. Obviously, it meant that we didn't pick up the trophy. That's going to be Bertie's argument. I know exactly what he's thinking. But we know each other so well. We finish each other's.
Go on.
Damages. Thanks, Posh. But I think there's no place for sentiment. There's no place for, let's just pick him because it's a nice thing to do. It's probably the right thing to do to get Raya back in. That's my thought. We might see Ramsdale, potentially in the FA Cup in January, maybe. But away from suspensions and injuries, I'm sorry, it didn't convince me during the game. Obviously, the confidence thing you talked about, I think, is absolutely accurate. You could see the nerves kicking in. Yeah. Probably didn't help him. We all knew the eyes were going to be on him, and that kind of felt that he just got, I don't know, lost in a moment. And the moment you just spoke about, when he sort of got caught really badly in possession, which sort of led the ball going to Mbaramo, is it? Where Declan Rice, to give Rice his credit, and this is what he's great at, the anticipation that he had, seeing a problem and then getting back onto the goal line as the inverted goalkeeper. I'll just make Posh laugh. Just
he performed better in goal than Ramsdale did on Saturday, it's fair to say.
He covered the position and made it difficult. You have to give Rice the credit for covering Aaron's mistake. That's probably my point on that one. But like I said, no place for sentimentality, I'm afraid. He's toast.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think with Ramsdale, I think I've accepted the fact that it's probably, not over, but I know he will get a few more chances, I do think, before he leaves. But it's a bit difficult because he obviously signed a deal for a few years, and I did think his future was at Arsenal. And it's hard to process the fact that I think he will leave soon. Not in the January window, I don't believe, but I think someone like Ramsdale is good, but he doesn't deserve to kind of be on the bench a lot. I do think he is good enough to be a starter for a team, and I do believe that with his England career, he did have a start at England, then he came back to the team and he didn't get played. So for you, I'll ask you Bertie first, do you think it would be the right thing to maybe sell him and for him to get better in his career? Because it's obviously a difficult one, because obviously we do need a second choice goalkeeper, but I know for Ramsdale it won't be really fair on him to just be sat on the bench all the time.
Before I answer your question, there is a name in the chat called Cannon Chatter TV that has just said hello. The forbidden door has been kicked open yet again. This is the channel that Mr. Meadows was. This was his birthing channel, I think it's fair to say.
Thank you, Posh. That's very nice of you to say so. We owe Stephen Cannon Chatter so much for giving us an opportunity to do what we did over there. So good evening to you, and thank you for joining us over here on Sophie's channel.
Okay. As I was saying, I think I originally thought I couldn't see Ramsdale leaving in January. I could see him leaving maybe in the summer, but after the whole podcast thing and the incidents with his dad that's happened, I think I can see it becoming more likely. I know it's not official. There's a rumor that Wolverhampton Wanderers were in for a potential loan and a future fee in the summer. And you know what? If that's true, I think that would suit Ramsdale well. And when I say that, and I said this on Gooner Gathering on Saturday, Ramsdale is not a ball-playing goalkeeper. I think he's a bit more old school. Arteta wants him to be the ball-playing keeper that we've seen David Raya do, but I don't think Ramsdale's used to that kind of style of play. I think Wolves, Gary O'Neill, I think he won't be that much of a ball-playing goalkeeper there, as far as I'm concerned. I think that would suit him, but that's all a rumour. I think it's more likely I can see him leaving in January now. I think that might happen, maybe on loan, and then in the summer, who knows? He might be gone permanently. Who knows? But I think it's more likely than I thought.
I know what you mean, but that worries me. Just say the inevitable happens, just for the sake of it being that Cannon Chatter are here as well, just say it's deadline day in January, which is when I debuted, that Ramsdale goes off, and perhaps the next day David Raya goes and pops his hand out of place or something, or maybe falls off an e-scooter. And
then suddenly in the first game, Ren Ramsdale's new club, he makes David Seaman versus Sheffield United. He puts them,
yeah,
humongous save, and then oh god, it's Aubameyang all over again. It's Groundhog Day.
Do you know what though? You never know, because like Raya could have I remember when Lenny got injured badly. I think it was Brighton a few seasons ago. So anything could happen, and I think if we were going to sell Ramsdale in January or in the summer, we do have to bring someone else in. But I am surprised that Raya, we have paid money for him, and we have really. I keep forgetting that he's on loan, but we obviously know he's we're going to buy him, obviously, because. But yeah, I think the situation is just one you've got to accept. I do hope we can see Ramsdale again, but it's just really tough because Ramsdale gives so much back to us fans, and I do feel like he loves Arsenal, and I know his dad does. But yeah, it's a tough one, but I think the most important thing was him getting a clean sheet, because I think if he hadn't, I think it would have been pretty bad on him. And I think we were quite lucky to get a clean sheet, because I think Ramsdale did make quite a few mistakes, but as I said before, Declan Rice did really help us in that game, and I did want to kind of talk a bit about him, because for me, I think he's been our best player so far this season. I know Saliba, Gabriel, there's a few others up there, but I feel like Declan Rice has been worth every penny. I'm really, really loving him. Lee, I'll start off with you. What have you made of Declan Rice so far at Arsenal?
Yeah, he's all right, isn't
he? Yeah, he's all right.
So I was always very confident that we'd signed Declan. You remember that podcast we did, Posh, don't you? When I told you,
it was yesterday.
Exactly. When we were saying, you were saying, I'm going to be the prophet of doom. Postradamus strikes again, is your famous line. I remember this so well. I was always so confident he was going to be our standout signing of the summer. And what a difference he has made. It's very interesting. You see the amount of goals and opportunities that Arsenal are letting go, if you understand what I mean. Them shots on target, them stats are really right down in terms of, I think we've conceded fewest chances than anybody else. It's not just his defensive work, though, is he? He's better than that. Even in a dire game, is what we're talking about here. Even in that circumstance, he did his level best to influence it. He had an effort on target. I do remember that was deflected away for a corner. His leadership in the middle of the park. Some would argue he's a bigger captain in the side than certain Martin Odegaard is. Certainly as a mouthpiece, as a one shouting them instructions, and you even saw that right in the early days, like the Community Shield, the Forest game, very, very early doors, like he did at West Ham, like he was so good at West Ham, being an organizer, a boss. And yeah, great comment from AFC. Always welcome here. Is that he covers all that ground on the field, and long may that continue, eh?
Yeah, I agree. I think when we signed him for 100 at first, I thought that was a lot, and I thought, I don't care, because as long as we got him, because I know Man City were trying to get him. I don't think, in my head, I still believe that they weren't really wanting him. They were just trying to do that to kind of annoy us and see how far we would go with the money. But Bertie, I did want to ask you, with Declan Rice, I think he's been an amazing signing for us. Do you reckon he's been signing of the season?
£105 million is an absolute bargain for that man. And 70% of the earth is covered by water, and the rest is covered by Declan Rice.
The scientific fact, that.
Exactly. We're educational here on Gooner Gathering. But no, signing of the season, it's up for debate. I
Yeah.
think you look at maybe Maddison before he got injured,
Mm.
but then the injury has taken a bit of a toll. I don't know. I think he's definitely in contention for signing of the season, definitely. Back last season when Partey got injured, you could feel the difference of quality in midfield when he wasn't there. And with him being injured again, I think we can actually manage without him, just as long as Rice doesn't get injured. Fingers crossed.
Yeah.
But Deckers for me has been phenomenal, and I did expect him to do a good job, but he's actually exceeded my expectations. Almost every game he's been man of the match for me, and he's my man of the match on Saturday.
Yeah, you can't argue against that. I feel like obviously Maddison has done really well at Spurs, and obviously he's got that injury which will affect the season. But yeah, I definitely think he's up there. I just really love him. I just think he's amazing. He's done a lot better than what I thought he would, though, because obviously for England, the Euros, and well, England, when I've been watching them, I feel like him, Jude Bellingham have been like the star players, and for West Ham, I think he was really good, but when he's come to Arsenal, I feel like he's gone a different level. Like he's just something else, and um, not that I always agree with Gary Neville because I don't, but he did mention that Arsenal's key to winning the league is keeping Declan Rice, Gabriel Saliba fit, and I think that's so important that we do. I think it's all about managing those injuries, and I do hope Declan Rice doesn't get injured because, like you said, Bertie, when Partey isn't playing, we can kind of get away with that because Declan Rice does so much on the pitch. So yeah, we love him. Hello, Phil. Just thought I'd say hello to a few people in here. But yeah, I definitely think we love Declan Rice, and I did want to talk about our hero of the night, Havertz. I know this might cause a few debates, but I thought why not? He'd obviously get us that winner, and as I actually was telling someone off air, I did break my boyfriend's headphones, and he said to me, if Havertz scores, you don't have to pay me, so thanks for that, Harry. But yeah, I was so happy for Havertz. Lee, I'll start off with you.
It's probably a good idea.
Yeah, I'll go for you first. Tell me how you felt when you scored that goal.
Unlike another Lee, I was quite happy to celebrate this goal. I was quite pleased. I kind of knew it was. I felt it was coming, and the reason why is because as the game was getting later and later, you could see they're getting tired, and you could see that. I just felt. I don't know if it's just the goggles I was wearing at the time, but I just felt that a goal was coming, and it's an interesting one because it's one of them games where, like we mentioned, tactically, everyone was behind the ball. Now, it was a bold decision to rest Havertz from the starting 11, but he needed to make a difference. He needed a different option to throw on as a sub, right? And let me say, it was like, so we managed to get to a situation where we started putting some crosses in. Do you know? It was no surprise to me to also do a little bit of research. It'll be no surprise to my broadcast partner that I have been on the old internet and doing a few facts and figures. And turns out Havertz has actually won 23 of his aerial duels for Arsenal. He's only one behind Gabriel in the Arsenal stats on that. But this was only his third header at goal. I think we are something that we've spoken about. I think he might actually agree with me on this one. Is that when Kai's in forward positions, maybe not as an out-and-out striker, but maybe as on the left-hand side, coming in as an extra striker, if you understand, coming from that left-hand side, he offers is something different. And lo and behold, it was our boy Kai, the German left-back, who rose and got that header in from Bukayo Saka's cross. Yeah, I was pleased for our boy Bukayo as well. Star boy who also may have got a little bit of a bashing off certain other Lee as well we can't mention him, obviously. But I'm sorry, if a goal goes in for Arsenal, doesn't matter your agenda on who you like and you don't like. I've said before, right? When Zinchenko, this is worth putting on as a short. So if you like this, I've put on record that I'm not Zinchenko's biggest fan, right? Sometimes he really worries me as someone who's really old-fashioned and really old school. When I see my left back wandering off into right midfield, it really concerns me. But my goodness me, when he scored that scissor kick goal a couple of weeks ago, my goodness me, I was pleased for him. That was a world-class goal, and I absolutely did celebrate. And you know, it's just like Bertie when certain Eddie Nketiah scores. He might not be his biggest fan, but when the ball goes in the net, you celebrate it.
If anything, I
you enjoy the
celebrate
moment.
more because someone who I've been criticizing has actually turned up, and I'm like, finally. So
There you are.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think to cover the point there, Havertz played his part. He came off the bench, made a difference, and you know I'm going to make a bold call here.
Oh no,
this will be fun. So
I'm used to it. It's fine.
So I would imagine Kai will play in the Champions League. I wouldn't mind betting he goes and scores again on Wednesday.
For what team?
Oh yeah, for the Arsenal.
not an own goal.
We don't need own goals, mate. No. I won't be celebrating own goals. That doesn't work.
Yeah, I think for me with Havertz, I mean, we have paid a lot of money for him. I've kind of stood at the fact that he's obviously scored one goal before this one. You might have assisted one, but he's not really been getting on the score sheet as much as he needs to for the price we paid for him. And I was worried, and I maybe still am, that it could be another Willian situation, but I just want him to do well. I want to see him succeed, and I think that goal will be so important for his confidence. And Bertie, just give me your thoughts on the Havertz goal.
Well, first of all, I was relieved that we actually scored, because I'll be honest with you, the majority of the game was a bit of a ball fest, wasn't it? I mean, again, Brentford, yes, were incredibly organised and was difficult to break them down. But all we needed, I always say this, when we dominate in possession but don't find the back of the net, we need a bit of a moment of magic, and then the ball goes in the net, 1-0 to the Arsenal. Saka did that, beautiful ball into the box. And there, of all people, was Kai Havertz to put us 1-0 up. And you know what? I was relieved that we scored, and I was very pleased that it was Havertz who got the goal to win the game and send us top of the league, because that is very important. And I was happy. I was happy that Havertz scored, and for that game anyway, I was proven wrong. It was very good. And yeah, took a while, 88 minutes, but we finally put the ball in the net. Obviously, we had Trossard's goal that was ruled out, and rightly so. I think it was offside. But yeah, thankfully, it was just, but
marginal, wasn't it?
It was marginal, yeah.
Yeah, that was quite close, that one.
Yeah. I was pleased for Kai Havertz that he scored the goal. And yeah, he turned up. Very good.
Yeah, I think it's just I think it's really a relief for us. I mean, at that moment, I did not care who scored. I just thought we just need to score one goal and just defend, which we can. It was a bit of a flat game, I will be honest. I think, like Lee said off air, Brentford have that style of play, and it's quite tough to play against them. I did think it would have been a little bit more easy than it was, and respect to Brentford, because they are a great team, and it was a real, it's tough to play against them. I did want to kind of talk about the Champions League as well, because obviously we do have Lens coming up, and you know what? I think we're doing a lot better than I thought in the Champions League. We've not been in it for a few years, and I think the team are just happy to be back, and we're playing really good football. I'll start off with you, Bertie. I did want to get your thoughts. Obviously, with the league. We are at the top right now. And in the Champions League, I know the team will want to go for that as well. I know that Jesus has said to be ambitious in it and still go as far as we can. Do you think we should focus on both, or do you think we need to go for the league a bit more? What are your thoughts on that?
We should focus on both. Absolutely. Yeah. The more competitions we're in, the better. Because if we very unfortunately get knocked out of another competition, there is something to fall back on. So we've got to focus on the Champions League. I didn't wait 7 years to crash out the group stages. Yeah. And we only need 1 point to go through to the round of 16. It will be the most Arsenal thing ever if we end up losing both, but I don't think it will happen. Touch wood. I think we will play better against Lens at home than we did away. I think actually our better performances have come in the Champions League, and I'm referring to the PSV game and home to Sevilla. I think those were our better performances. We were dominant and looked in control for those games. Hopefully it can be like that against Lens on Wednesday. I almost said tomorrow. It's Wednesday. But yeah, hopefully we can get our sweet revenge for the away game. And yeah, I'm confident, and we can go through to the last 16. We'll see who we get there.
Yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Lee, do you have anything else to add on that? Do you agree with Bertie or?
Yeah, I don't think it'd go down very well. Certainly, if Arsenal in the position they're in with 9 points in the group with PSV and Lens joining at 5, if we end up really struggling to qualify, obviously we need 1 point, right? The point that Bertie answered about you have to go for all these competitions. That's what big clubs do.
Yeah.
Don't be surprised to see a few changes in the starting lineup because of the fact that we are nearly qualified. I'm not saying wholesale changes, but what I'm saying is the likes of Vieira is suspended domestically, right? And he's going to be banned for 3 matches, I believe. So don't be surprised to see Vieira playing. Don't be surprised to see Havertz playing, as he only played 15 minutes as a sub on Saturday. Perhaps in the place of Jesus, perhaps. Because what I won't want to do is, on the back of his injury, and he's playing 90 minutes for Brazil against Argentina, playing 60 minutes on Saturday, you don't really want to really rush him, and you don't want another injury happening, because then, one of our options has gone. I know, Eddie Nketiah's there, and he's there to do a job. He'll probably play, like it or not. But he'll probably... He will
that comment.
But look, don't be surprised to see it sort of rotating a little bit, because there is a little bit of room to rotate, particularly in the home game. I do expect a much different performance than we played on Saturday. I would expect us to be a little bit higher tempo, particularly with the Emirates crowd being there. I do expect there to be a little bit more room. I do expect us to play a little bit more. I complimented Zinchenko for being very disciplined on Saturday. I do expect us to sort of go more of a 3 in the back, and Zinchenko having a bit more of a wander on this one. It's just a gut feeling, because I do feel that Lens are going to sort of set up a little bit more defensively, but we'll see. But big clubs have to, at the very least, get through the qualifying stages. And do you know what? When it comes to knockout football, different ball game entirely. I'd try to say to AFC for always be a bit more positive, just like Bertie. That's what you've got to do.
Yeah, I think knockout football is different because there's a next round to aim for, as opposed to league football where it's all the games and you play each team. But so I think especially in the Champions League, you can take anything you want for the. You can take what you want for the knockout stages. If it means we win the whole thing, then Yeah, do it. Scrape a 1-0 win in the round of 16 or in the quarterfinals. If it means we win the whole thing, please do it. Whether we will do it or not, who knows?
That's what the squad is there for, right? And let's not forget, it's not just that as well. There's the FA Cup coming up in January as well.
Yeah.
Let's the people, especially like Bertie, Soph, a little bit younger than I am, who really want to see some of these trophies. I'm lucky enough to see so many of these trophy lifts in my time, right? But the younger generation really crave for that, and I can understand the frustration when we go out in cups like the Carabao Cup, the West Ham, because people are desperate for picking up the trophies. I understand that, but these are the high profile ones. If you understand what I mean, not disrespecting the Carabao Cup, but
Yeah.
you understand what I mean. The big trophies are the ones that we really want to be going for. That's why it's always been such a low priority, really, even in some of the dark days when we haven't been around in the Champions League and whatnot.
Yeah, I think the FA Cup for me, I think it's a really big trophy. I think the Carabao Cup one, it obviously is a bit disappointing, but I think we can get over that because they're over big trophies. But I think for me, I think someone mentioned, I think for me, I've said that in the Champions League, I expect us to probably get. I think realistically, I'd probably expect us to get to the quarterfinals, maybe. But it all depends on injuries. It all depends on which sort of team we play, because we obviously have strengthened, but we do know that the team, with injuries, they don't have a great record. I know, like Zinchenko, Partey, and Jesus, they're probably three players that do get injured a lot. And obviously, Jesus is back, and Jesus has done really well. In the Champions League, I feel. So, I'm with you guys. I think we've got to kind of do both, because last season we kind of went all out in the league and kind of fell back on us, and we kind of probably wish that we would have gone for other things as well, like the FA Cup. But I think this season, I'm sure the team are quite ambitious to go far with both competitions, and we will want to win the league, because last season we got so close, and it's obviously still hurts. It's disappointing that we didn't do it, but I do think the team will have that fire in the belly, and they'll want to kind of win trophies this season. I'm with you. I agree with you guys about that. I did want to ask you, Lee, I know we will speak about the women's team, but did you have any other questions that you wanted to ask before we do?
I'll ask the question to you. You both. We're at that sort of stage now where we're, a good chunk of the league down now, and all of a sudden, despite us not playing the electrifying style that we played last season, we are now top of the table. Now, where do you see us ending up when the trophies are given out? That's the big question.
Bertie, you can go first if you want.
Thrown in the deep end here. It's still a long way to go, and we'll have to wait and see. But look, last season we've proven that we can do it. We can challenge the league, and we can be up at the top for a long time. We've got to put our money where our mouth is now. We have to go ahead and win the whole thing. We've got to have to try and go in Arteta's full seasons, okay, 8th, 5th, and 2nd. So that is league progress. Mm-hmm. If we want to continue that league progress, we'll have to finish first, or maybe again get close to winning the league, but win another trophy alongside, like maybe an FA Cup, or God forbid we win the entire Champions League. Can you imagine? Wow. You wouldn't see me for the rest of ever. If we win the Champions League, I'll be off celebrating somewhere.
It'll be an epic stream, I can tell you that, mate.
Oh my God, yeah. It's in Wembley as well. I'm going to be on Go on Ticketmaster and everything. But yeah, look, don't ask me this question, because I do not know. 8th twice. I meant full seasons.
Yeah, because that was only half a season you came in for one that time. Yeah, I agree. I think you make an important point, Bertie, that obviously if you look at progress like that, if we came second or third, it might be seen as we're going backwards. But I think for me, last season we did better than what I thought we would. I think we had to get top 4, and we obviously did that and did better. We were close to winning the league. So I think we've got to maintain that. I think that's what's important, that we kind of stay within Man City or we can overtake them. And this season we have beaten them. I know that Rodri wasn't there, but we still had our injuries as well.
You can only
we
play what's in front of you.
Yeah, we had Partio. I think there was a few others. So, I think we deserve that win. But I think we've obviously got, so I think we've still got like Anfield to go. I know Spurs away is always a hard place to go. So we do have a long season ahead. But I think for me, I think obviously it is quite early on, like you say, Lee, and it's hard to kind of predict anything. But I think for me, we need to come back with a trophy this season, because last season I just feel like we really should have won a trophy and we didn't, and it's quite hard to see. And I feel like players like Xhaka that has left deserve to win something. So I think we've got a good chance of the league, but yeah, it's a tough. What are your thoughts, Lee, on your own question, really?
I think we're going to pick up all 3. It'll be easy, no problem. I've got to do that answer because I'm the positive Pete of everyone, right? Look, in all seriousness, look. I think it's more likely that one of the like the Bayerns of this world, or one of the Spanish clubs, or even City themselves do the Champions League. But I look, cup football's odd. Strange things can happen. Extraordinary nights can happen. I've seen it my own eyes. I've seen us go to Inter Milan and score 5 goals one night. I've seen us go to Real Madrid and win 1-0 before. It's an odd competition. Knockout football's fun. Who knows? Here's the thing. The transfer window, is coming up. The January window is coming up to address AFC always saying the Cronkies must give Arteta 200 million to spend in January. Look,
Don't think that's how it works, I'm afraid.
I don't think it's as easy as that. It ain't as easy as that. And you can quote me if you like. I don't think January's going to be particularly exciting. Yeah. In terms of Arsenal bringing players in, I don't see it. I really don't. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of with you. I don't expect us to have an exciting January, and I'm sure these are just rumours, but I did hear that apparently the Cronkies are going to give Arteta like 50 million or something like that, and it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I think we have progressed with them under everything that's happened in the last few years, and we have spent a lot of money, but yeah, I just don't see much happening. I know that Ivan Toney, I think I've seen things that he probably will stay at Brentford, and it's obviously a tough one, really. I think we've got to do a lot. Injuries, you can't predict them. You just never know, but I think we definitely need a few players in. For you, Lee, I'll start off with you. Obviously, we don't know how much money we're going to spend. And I agree, I don't think it'll be an exciting one, but if you were Arteta, who would you like to bring in to help us win the league?
I'd like Kevin De Bruyne. I'd like Haaland and Rodri.
Oh, that would be the perfect one. What about you, Bertie?
Realistically, we do need a striker, but again, it costs an arm and a leg, doesn't it, nowadays to get a striker, especially in the January window.
I can have my leg.
Your leg's broken, mate.
It wouldn't be very useful, would it?
I think the Ivan Toney is the more overall. I think Ivan Toney is the heavy favourite in terms of signing for us. But again, it's easier said than done. I've mentioned Ollie Watkins before. He could be a good option. Yeah. Getting a striker now in January is going to be a lot harder than we think. I reckon I can see us probably getting another midfielder, because I have a feeling Partey is going to probably end up going in January. As much as I've disagreed with that, I can see it happening. And we've been linked with, I think, Ruben Neves as well on loan, which if it was 5 years ago, I'd be into that. But I don't know. Maybe it's similar to the Jorginho signing where it's an extra midfielder, I guess.
And one thing I will say, Partey is probably going to do if he does get fit, is going to be off to the African Nations Cup anyway. So,
Yeah, it's bad, isn't it? It's a bit tough.
that's going to be an issue, I think, but that's one to discuss for another day, perhaps.
Yeah, I think with Partey, when he comes back, he'll feel like a new signing because it's just I think his injuries are just kind of. I know you can't help it with how you are, with how many injuries you get, but I just think I'd be open to selling him in the summer, maybe. I mean, the January, I don't see it happening, but I do think I really do like Ollie Watkins, but I know I think I've heard that he's an Arsenal fan. He would love to be at Arsenal, which is great for us to hear. But I know how important he is to Villa, and the Emery's come in and he's doing bits for them. So I don't see it happening, sadly. But I know the Ruben Neves one has been floating around, and I think that's probably more likely. And I think I'd be open to it, really. I mean, I know as well as it Douglas Luiz as well. I know fans want him, but I don't. I think with Villa. They really want to kind of aim for. I think top four is a bit of a stretch, but I think maybe top 5, top 6. So I know that they'll need all them players. So it's going to be tough. I think Holland would be a great person to come in, and I've sort of said with Nketiah, I think Jesus is really good. He gets a lot of injuries, but I don't see Eddie as someone who can take us to win the league. I feel like we do need to bring someone in, but then it kind of gives
You
him
what? My boy.
Hate to break it to you.
We love Eddie, but it's the truth. I'm sorry.
The truth will set you free. No.
No, right. I love Eddie, and I think as a squad player, he's good. If he comes off the bench, he helps us. But he's been here for a while, and obviously, it's not all on him to win us the league, but he is a big part of finishing his chances. And most of the time, he struggles to do that. I'm just saying.
The shot he had against Brentford.
Right?
Useless.
Useless is harsh, Poch. Listen, you just said yourself,
I've used worse words. You know that.
Do you know what? It's really hard because I try to say it in a nice way to people, and it just comes across as I'm on his back or whatever. But I think in that game, like Bertie said, Brentford, I think he had a moment where he could have passed to someone or he could have shot or something, and I think he kind of doesn't do things quick enough. But he has done a lot for us. But I just think for us winning the league, I don't know if he can take us on to that next level personally.
Can I just say the next Dickoff has just been mentioned by Phil. I'm not even sure these two know who Dickoff is.
I do.
I'm too young, really.
He's the guy responsible for Man City going up to the Premier League.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Phil, I don't know who he is, but I do know now.
He's the new Paul Dickoff. Does that mean in the future he's going to manage Doncaster Rovers?
Perhaps. But look, what I was going to say, you said yourself, Poch, that the idea of getting a striker in January, look, it's very, very difficult. You all know getting players in January, it's a blooming hard work, right? Yeah. I think we're just lucky to have a world-class striker in our ranks just to bring in when necessary. And the Watkins and the Douglas Luiz at Villa. You can link him as much as you want with an Arsenal move. Why would Aston Villa want to sell when they're in the top 4 themselves at the moment, guys?
Especially mid-season as well.
Especially with Unai in charge as well. Ain't gonna happen, guys. Sorry.
Yeah, it's unlikely personally because, with both of them, they wouldn't sell 2 of their players to us. I personally don't think so. I just think as long as we bring in a striker, I mean, it depends who it is, but I just think we need one. But I think with injuries as well, it's going to be hard. This is an important comment actually. How come other clubs manage to sign players in January and we can't? It's obviously a tough one. I think the last January we brought obviously Trossard in, I think, and I think he has been a really good signing. Lee, what is your response to this? Because it's not all wrong. It can be a bit true sometimes. January hasn't been always good for us.
January, I think it's just all round. I don't think it's always been brilliant for players coming in. Look, we picked up Jorginho, as mentioned. We picked up Trossard, which actually was a tidy bit of business, in all fairness. But look, I don't know. It's for me, it almost feels like sometimes the top end clubs don't do a lot of business in that stage. A lot of the clubs that are scrambling to survive in the relegation and the mid-table sort of zones, they're the ones that are doing a lot of trying to bring people in, and it almost feels like a bit of a panic move. And you can understand it, right? Especially if the likes of like an Everton or a Sheffield United or someone like that, who will especially Everton with their difficulties, they'll be trying to reinforce their squad with perhaps loan players or something like that. But almost feels like they're trying to dig themselves out of a very, very deep hole, and they don't necessarily fill the right boxes for the longer term deals. Just my thoughts.
Yeah, Bertie, do you have anything else to add, or do you agree with what Lee's saying?
Me and Lee agreeing with something. It has happened before, But yeah, no, I do. I sadly think we're not going to get the phenomenal world-class striker in January that some people may think. But I reckon we'll probably get, as AFC always says, Ruben Neves will come in on probably a 6-month loan deal with probably an option to buy in the summer or something like that. It's another case of wait and see, really. But I don't think we're going to get a massive world-class striker, as a lot of people think. It's not FIFA. We can't choose who we want to buy and everything. It's reality. And people say, oh, other clubs spend in January. I don't think Man City spent any in January last year, but I suppose they didn't need to, didn't they?
Yeah, that squad's ridiculous. I don't think they need to bring anyone else in.
That's all right. They'll get decimated when they get finally done by the FFP rules, so don't worry about it.
Yeah, can't they just go back down to the Championship? But yeah, I think
put them in the conference, Ebbsfleet.
Yeah, just take them down a few leagues.
Put Ebbsfleet up in the Prem, and they can put City in.
Lee, we can barely win in the conference.
You beat
unless it's against Oldham.
Talking about?
Unless it's against Oldham.
Bosh, I've told you this.
Honestly,
sorry, Sophie. We're talking about my local team, Ebbsfleet.
No, don't worry. But yeah, I do think I think the midfield is an area we do need to kind of strengthen them as well. But I think the striker one, like we've all agreed with, we've got to bring someone in. But like you said, it's hard to find these strikers to bring in, and with the money, will we have enough? But yeah, I really hope we can do that. I did want to kind of talk a bit about the Arsenal women's team as well, for a little bit, because obviously they're on a roll at the moment. They're doing really well. We beat West Ham 3-0. Beth Mead scored 2 goals. Really, really happy for her. Manham also got on the score sheet. She's getting her confidence back. And, we didn't have the best start to the season. I feel like it's a new team, obviously, with new players. But Lee, I'll start off with you. Obviously, just give me your thoughts on the West Ham win and just your thoughts on this season and how we're doing.
So I'll go with the second part of it first. You're right. I think the ladies' side are very much trying to figure out their best 11s whilst dealing with the longer term injuries. We've obviously Miedemar, Mead, Leah Williamson still recovering. I think there's another one I've missed. They all being said, that is now, I think, 6 on the bounce that they wins or certainly unbeaten for the West Ham game. My goodness me, they couldn't have started any quicker. Nice to see. You mentioned Frida Marnham getting a confidence back. That's 2 goals in 2 games for her in WSL. what a cracking goal it was to start off proceedings. Long range loopy effort over the goalkeeper was nice to see. It could have been a ridiculous score within the first sort of 5 minutes or so. Chances coming out to West Ham as well. There was a header that sort of beat everybody, just hit the post and ended up in the hands of the goalkeeper. But the bottom line on this game is the returning to form, the returning of Beth Mead putting the ball in the net, and what a emotional moment that certainly was. So we mentioned it was a year ago. I think in the last WSL game when she picked up the injury against Manchester United. So we're sort of a year down the line, a whole calendar year down the line for making a next start, and now breaking the goal drought after so long. It was nice to see. It was a great goal as well, wasn't it? Getting the pass from Courtney Cross as well, wasn't it? Who's another player who's settled down in that ladies' squad and is really making a mark. That was 2 assists very early doors again. Beth getting the ball onto a left foot and smashing that ball into the net, and got another one just before half time. 3-0. Game was pretty much done by then. I don't have a lot to report from the second half because I literally saw the YouTube clip. It had about 5 minutes of it and about 1 minute of the second half. So wasn't a lot there.
Yeah, I did watch a bit of the second half, and I think obviously we could have scored a lot more goals in the first half, like you said, Lee. And I think West Ham didn't want to kind of get beaten as much, so they did come out with a bit more of a fighting spirit. But I would say we had more of the control. We were making things happen, and very unlucky not to kind of score more goals. But I think the fact that we obviously got a clean sheet as well, and know that the goalkeeper situation was a bit sticky to start off with the season. We were conceding really bad goals, and defensively we didn't look comfortable. And obviously we do still have Leah Williams now. And I think for me, Lotte Ruben-Moy has done really well this season. I feel like she's got a lot of confidence now, and I just think she's doing really well. And obviously, Alessia Russo coming in, she's not scored tons of goals, but I do feel like her work rate, her build-up play, is probably a better quality. I think she's doing really well. So yeah, I think it's all positive for Arsenal, and obviously it is their international break. And Bertie did want to ask you, we do have Chelsea coming back after that, and I've heard that it's at the Emirates and 50,000 people are going, which is incredible. But obviously we are doing really well. Chelsea are doing well too. But do you think that win will give us that confidence going into the game?
So I'm not an avid watcher of the WSL as Mr. Meadows is, or some other people from Gooner Gathering, but I do know some aspects of it.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to say, not necessarily about the Chelsea game, but the West Ham game that's played, it's so nice to see Beth Mead back on the score sheet, especially after the horrific injury she suffered. And it's what a way to come back, really. And that second goal was beautiful. That second goal was very good. And yeah, so good to see her on the score sheet after everything that's happened. And now I've told Lee this about 500 times, but there's an interesting fact about Alessia Russo, right? She lives about 20 minutes away from me. Well, she used to anyway. She grew up in Maidstone, and I live in Sevenoaks. So it's about 20-25 minute difference. So there we go. Interesting fact of the day.
I love that. That's so cool.
We're both massive Kents.
Kent's, nothing else, everybody.
Kents, yeah, that's where I'm from.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll sort of answer the question a little bit because I know where Safe's coming from here. Chelsea have been smashing everybody, really. I think they got another 5 or 6 goals over this weekend. It's a heck of a game to get into after the international break. If that's the next fixture, it is. Yeah. Wow, that's going to be a heck of a one to go with. I believe there's 3 or 4 points behind Arsenal in second place in the league at the moment. Look, the WSL was kind of renowned for, because it's quite a short season, you can only sort of afford to lose a couple of games, and then because them outstanding sides are the ones at the very top, they don't tend to lose a lot, right? What an opportunity, then I say, for us a home game at the Emirates to see if we can humble the champions. And it'd be nice to see Emma Hayes back, probably for the last time, certainly at the Emirates. She has Arsenal history, as Posh might not know, but
okay, I did not know that actually, but I knew who she was.
But there you go. It's a heck of an opportunity for us, especially us getting into some nice form as well. Another player we do need to mention as well, Vivian Miedemar, gradually making her comeback. She played another 7-8 minutes. She'll probably go away with the Netherlands. She'll probably have a bit more training. She'll be ready to, maybe get more of an impact in that second half of the season. A great opportunity for the Arsenal ladies in this game. I think it's on the 10th of December, I want to say. So, yeah, it'll be a good one.
Yeah, I agree. I think, it is on the 10th, just to check there. That'll be an exciting game. And Chelsea fixtures and Arsenal, it's always, always tough. We have been a bit more successful in recent years, which is what we want to see. But yeah, I think it's just great to see women's football get that recognition, 50,000. I know that when we played Wolfsburg a few years ago at the Emirates, it was on about like a few thousand. So I think it's great to see how far we've come. And yeah, really looking forward to the game, but really happy with how we started the season. And think, like you've said, a new team with a new style of play, really, and also great. I'm just happy for Beth Mead because I know that he's obviously gone through a lot with losing her mum and her injuries. And like I said, with Miedemar, it's great to see her as well, get back to her best. And I think she just sort of needs to get more game time to be back to herself. But it's always a good thing to see her back. I did want to answer this before we go in like a few minutes. AFC always has said, I'm really sorry if I pronounced the name wrong, but
Osimhen.
I've been Tony Osimhen for Arsenal next summer, and who would you choose and why? I'll go first, and I think they're both amazing, and I would take any of them because I think they're quality. But I think because of what I've seen from Tony and what he's sort of capable of doing, I think I would pick him. And I just see him fitting into this Arsenal team. But I think, you can't argue against them both. I think they're both great and I can't complain. So I'd probably go Tony, but it's obviously hard because they're both really good. Lee, who would you go for?
Right. So I've spoken about Tony so much; he's a banned word on my channel.
I know.
So, but in credit to him, right? When he's on the field, I've said this very, very often.
Yeah.
Absolute top marksman. When he's just doing what he's supposed to do on the field, phenomenal. I think it's more likely for Arsenal to go for Osimhen, though, only because of the back of everything that went on, without sort of bringing up old history and stuff like that with the Osimhen thing. I think it is more likely for us to do business with a club outside of the Premier League. That's just my feeling on that. But I'd take either.
Yeah, you can't argue against that. Bertie, who would you go for?
They're both good, obviously, but I would actually, because Tony is Premier League proven and has absolutely bossed it in the Premier League, I'm more leaning towards him. I know that obviously you mentioned old history and everything, the whole betting thing that's happened, but I would actually go for Tony because of his Premier League experience. But that doesn't mean I wouldn't take Osimhen. I think he's a very good striker as well. But there's always a risk of, he's going to a brand new league and he's come in with so much promise and amazement. Suddenly it's Rasmus Højlund all over again, at the moment anyway. But I think I would probably go for Tony because of his Premier League experience.
Yeah, you can't argue that. I think, I don't think Arsenal would pay that though. You never know. That's a lot of money. But I think you make an important point, Bertie, that he's obviously got that Premier League experience. He knows how it works. I think when you come from a different league, I think with Vieira, the league he was in before, might have been a little bit slower. I think the Premier League is quite a fast-paced league. You can't really afford to make a lot of mistakes. So I do think having him would be really good for us. But I know with everything with sort of the betting situation, if he came back, would he fit in straight away? It's a tough one, really. But I think the most important thing is with Arteta recognising we probably do need a striker. For me, that's important because I think going for the league again will be very crucial for our club. But yeah, that's really our answers on that. And it's been really lovely to talk to you both today. I know, Bertie, we haven't really spoken face to face, so it's lovely to chat with you, and Lee,
Very
of
nice to talk
course.
to you too.
Always a pleasure, Soph.
Yeah, it's always lovely chatting with you both, and we'll definitely do this again. But as I've said, they are from the Gooner Gathering podcast, so please do subscribe, check it out because you're doing amazing things. And I hope you guys watching this did enjoy the video too. And I will see you all in my next video.